So we can continue now. Are we all on the same page? Okay, so now we have, like I said earlier, we have contusion is accompanied by lacerated wounds, all right? And this contusion is otherwise known as what we call bruise. Are we on the same page? Okay, sorry about what happened a moment ago. That was a thing with the network. I think we are good to go now. Okay, just a moment. Now, I haven't spoke about that. So one thing we also need to consider here, okay, one thing we need to consider here is that okay, just a moment. Now, when this is the case, all right, when it's the case of lacerated wound accompanied by contusion, otherwise known as bruise, then okay, the wound is technically known as contuted lacerated wound. Now, when a lacerated wound is accompanied by contusion, all right, which is known as bruise, all right, lacerated plus contusion, all right, in this case, then we are talking about what we are saying here is said to be contused, all right, contused, lacerated wound, all right, otherwise known as CLW. Are we all on the same page? Okay, it's said to be a rag tearing of tissue, signifying that this kind of wound is a little bit deeper, all right, compared a little bit when it comes to the in-depthness, when it comes to how deep it is deeper compared to abrasion. So now, this kind of wound is accompanied, all right, frequently accompanied with contusions, which is otherwise known as bruise. So now, the contusion or the lacerated, contuted wound, all right, when a lacerated wound is accompanied by contusion, this kind of wound is said to be a contused lacerated wound. So we have that as that. Now, in cleaning wounds, this kind of wound, if you want to attend to it, all right, the surrounding must be cleaned. So make sure that you wash your hand if your hands are dirty. All right. We have extensive laceration, such as from vehicle, all right, from a motor vehicle accident. All right. We have called for a definite treatment, which can only be given in the hospital. Don't forget that in our last slide we talked about the first aid, the quick, all right, the emergency care. So when it comes to lacerated wound from a car accident, don't forget that this tissue, all right, under lacerated wound, this tissue, there's a rag. You can feel, you can see it peeling out, a rag tearing of this tissue. But under abrasion, there are no rags tearing. It's just a scrap. All right. So we have that as that. So that's one thing you should note here. Okay. We also have what we call insist. All right. Insist. All right. We have the insist. Are we together? Wounds, otherwise known as cuts. All right. Are we together? All right. Inside. Are we together? Inside. All right. We call this kind of wound incised wounds, otherwise known as cuts. The incised wound, otherwise known as cuts. There are two wounds made by, all right, these are wounds that is made by a single clear cut. Single clear cut inside. All right. Example of a cut, or example of this kind of cut, all right, is said to be a cut from a broken glass, all right, while washing dishes, or from a sharp knife, all right, or during the process of cooking, you basically cut yourself. Then we refer to this as inside, all right, inside wound. Okay, a single clear cut, all right, broken dish, knife while cooking. So we have that as that. Now they may, all right, lead to profuse bleeding, all right, from deep incised wounds. There may be profuse bleeding since an artery, that is the vein moving blood around the body, all right, or large vein may also be cut, all right. You're just assuming, basically don't know where the cut has taken place, so it might lead to bleeding, right, in case whereby the artery is affected. Now the treatment should include the covering of the injured part with a sterile, all right, a sterile pressure dressing. All right, the treatment of this kind of wound, all right, can be treated. Talking about the first aid, all right. You know, these are minimal wounds. All right. When we say sterile, we're talking about a substance, all right, that is free, totally clean, free from bacteria. We have very good, you know, inside the first aid box or the first aid kits. You know, there are cottons, there are very clean clothes, cottons or wool you can use when it comes to cleaning a wound. All right. So the treatment should include the covering of the injured part with a sterile pressure dressing. All right. Place the sterile on it, apply pressure, all right, and dress it while you are dressed the wound. You apply the sterile on it and you hold on to it till the blood stops, all right, or till the cut is closed. Two, and I'm talking about the blood, the bleeding. Now we also have that as that. Let's take a step further. We also have what we call punctured, all right, punctured wounds. A puncture is a perforation to the skin. Punctured wounds, all right, is said to be what? A perforation of the skin. Of the skin. A puncture is said to be a perforation of the skin, and the tissues made by a sharp pointed object, such as stepping, all right, such as when you step on a nail or you are being stabbed by a sharp object. Perforation of the skin, all right, and the tissues. Are we together? Perforation of the skin and tissues. Are we together? When we say perforation, that's talking about a hole, perforation. Alright? A hole made by piercing, and pierce something. Like we are being told, when you step on the sharp object, alright, this will create a hole in your, alright, on you. Alright, there will be a separation in your skin, on your skin. Now, such wounds can have serious consequences if not promptly attended to. Alright, when you step on a nail, alright, on your puked by sharp object. You are puked by a sharp object. Now, these wounds can cause serious damages if they are not taken care of properly or promptly. If a puncture wound has been sustained from the farm or streets, from rusting nail or any other rusty pointed object, it must be assumed that the wound is contaminated with tetanus germs. Therefore, immediate anti-tetanus injection is a necessity. So it is assumed that when you are being puked or when you sustain a cut from an exposed sharp object, it is assumed that the wound is contaminated, right? And therefore, the wound is contaminated with what we call tetanus, right? Contaminated, we'll call all right? We call that tetanus. As a TE, tetanus germ, and immediately there must be an anti-tetanus injection. So we have dog bite and bee stings are also considered as punctured wounds, which equally has serious consequence. All right. So we have that as that. So in our next class, we'll take it up from treatments for animal bites. All right. Our subtopic will be animal bites. I'll take it up from there. What are animal bites and how they can be treated when they happen. Thank you very much, everyone. Let's go to keep our notes up to date and send them to our appropriate quarters. For those of us who are here to join the private class, you are missing a lot. A lot is going on in the private class. Do want to reach out to us on our official website so you can be added. www.student.net is our official website. You have a wonderful evening.